in our area now, in Northeastern, and where I come from, most of the chiefs that were employed before devolution and even before were illiterate, completely illiterate. They have never gone to class. Waziri, I'm saying most of the chiefs were illiterate before 2009 and before. And let me tell you, those ones are now retiring, almost all of them. And those are the people that we rely on. Unfortunately, these young guys who performed very well in school, I'm sure there are people who served in, administration like Sigay and our friends. There is a problem. We have a very big problem. But there is no problem solving, strategies. There are no. Those illiterates were better, 100%. Right now, what we have in Northeastern, and I'm sure as security agents, you will be able to do your own, investigation. Most of the young guys, Mera, those kind of things, they don't even report to their place of work. So in fact, we prefer you going back to the illiterate chiefs. Okay. I can assure you, because there is a problem, and because of the insecurity, because of the problems that are there, they are the ones who can solve the problems. They are part of the society, and in fact, very soon, even MCS. My dad was a councillor and a mayor in Madeira for 20 years. He was an illiterate. He never went to class. And one of the most popular councillors in the area, most of the MBC are aware. Right now, when we got these literate ones, there's a problem. We are not going
Thank you so much, Wetad. I know CA can confirm. He's a friend to your dad. He ever said that. Kaunya, 1 minute, please. We quite have a lot of questions.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, what I wanted to emphasize is one point Honorable Manduku mentioned. The issue of due diligence is very important for chief selection. What I've noted based on my experience, and I think Honorable Segei, we were in the field. At that time, we had very, very disciplined chiefs and very hardworking. So two things I've noted.
So
one is
kindly ask a question. You are making a comment. Kindly make a question so that we move.
Chair, I'm addressing the point that was raised about due diligence. And mine is really just a comment to say that the ministry, the CS, should take serious consideration of the aspect of due diligence when appointing chiefs and assistant chiefs. And that is very key, because if we want chiefs who will deliver, that's important. Chiefs definitely must be resident within the areas. Where a chief is appointed from outside and is non-resident, it becomes a problem. And I think, finally, Chair, there is the issue of empowering these chiefs. You need to empower these chiefs so that they are able to perform. After the 2010 Constitution, I think the powers of the chiefs looks like they are not doing what they are supposed to be. So they need to be empowered.
Okay. Waziri, you can, of course, use your discretion and wisdom on how you respond to the question number, but I want to call upon members, especially of my committee. Of course, we are riding on the members' questions. And there's nothing that holds us from calling the CS another day to talk about the welfare policy and the rest. So let's try to restrict ourselves if we need to. In fact, I will prefer we give more preference to the members who sought the statements, kindly, so that we can able to move. So, Waziri, back to you.
I totally agree that due diligence is important. Usually that is done. It's done by the National Intelligence Service, assisting and supporting the other security agencies. It's also done by the officers who are working in that area, the ACC, the DCC, and the regional commissioner. So there is a collection of information across the board, and it helps because the ACC, DCC, and RC are not from that area, so they can have an objective recommendation. Usually, and let's be very honest about this, is that the biggest challenge is usually the politics. You know, this politician wanting against this clan against the other, and the governor is on one side, the senator is on another, the MP is on another side, and so all these issues, end up compounding a situation. But the due diligence is done. I also agree that the other issue is qualifications. The insistence on academic qualifications has robbed the service or the national administration of the opportunity to get actually very strong people who necessarily don't have the same academic qualifications as enlisted by in the Public Service Commission. As I said earlier, there is a discretion somewhere we can play with, but that discretion is very minimal. Some chiefs are very good. I know some places I have gone, whether in Kerio Valley region or the Northeastern, where the people are really insisting that it would have been nice to have this person become the chief, even if their papers are not right. And then, because of this insistence of papers, some of them also go ahead and get fake papers. In the process, you lose a very important person who would have been given a waiver, but already because he has submitted papers, he is already being investigated for fraud. So already his record now is even worse than if it was only about the papers. So it's an issue that because there is a ongoing review of the laws and policies governing the administrative units in the country, national administration generally, this is an issue that we must have, we need to take up, especially at the lower level. On the question of the gender, it's also a issue of great concern. Outside the, I would say, Mr. Chair, and I'm not defending Honorable Masara, that what he said is the raw feelings of many people in some places, the same way Honorable Itana said, although it is sometimes misguided. It is just based on prejudices of the past. There is no reason why a lady cannot be able to do the job. And many places where we have women being the chiefs or assistant chiefs, they have done a fantastic job. Sometimes it's because, I guess sometimes because as a woman to just get there is extremely difficult. So by the time they're reaching there, they have no chance of making any mistakes, they whatever. I must confess, Mr. Chair, that I live in two places, in Trans Nzoia and in Elgeyo Marakwet, and in both cases, the chiefs are female, and they do a very good job. And particularly from my ward, which is a border ward, and with many security issues, my chief is doing very well, and many other chiefs along Kerio Valley.
Why don't you just say that the female chiefs are more diligent and loyal and hardworking? Don't be
Yes, just ignore that. Don't get distracted.
That is also correct.
Please, that's also correct. Took the mic without permission.
But the point I'm making is that as we progress, recently we, in the hiring of chiefs and assistant chiefs in Kotulo sub-county, one of them was a lady, and I was very happy to, when we were releasing their names, to see that there is a lady from the frontier counties who was qualified and willing to serve as a chief, and I think these things will change over time. The other reason why we should not, we came up with Ngapu, the national government administration unit of the police, to help the administrative units, is specifically for that reason, to help chiefs, regardless of their gender, especially enable them to do enforcement. You know that chiefs in Western recently and other parts of the country, including in Mombasa, their houses have been burned while they were pursuing criminals or trying to enforce the law on drugs and abuse of alcohol and so forth. So with this support of Ngapu, it will be easy for the chiefs to be able to do their job. We have also said that because the chiefs undergo paramilitary training, those chiefs that feel their lives are in danger can be licensed to carry firearm based on their request. And if that request is done, as you know, civilians make requests even at the moment and they get the license to carry firearm. So there is no reason why they should not be supported. On the issue of Yes, in terms of where, if the assistant chief is acting and is from this clan and, maybe they have no faith, what I would say is that, yes, it is true that we should be able to expedite the process, but it's also true that once you are a chief or an assistant chief, you should be impartial in your service. The fact that you will do it for your clan or the other is a problem. We keep receiving intelligence reports of some chiefs who are involved in clan fights or intercommunal fights, supporting their clan against the other one. That should not be the case, and that even attracts disciplinary process if such a chief was to be found. So chiefs also, beside coming from certain area with certain clans or certain tribes, especially in border counties where we know that communities are living across each other's border, chiefs must be very sensitive to ensure that they understand that they are serving Kenya. They are not serving their clan or their community. So notwithstanding your concerns, it's very important for the chiefs, as we continue training them, to appreciate that they are serving Kenyans, regardless of their community or their tribe. Yes, I agree with the Vice Chair of the committee that we need to have a determined time period, and I take it as part of the reforms to make sure that we go and agree on, even if the process takes long, but not later than a certain period of time. If we say 6 months or 3 months or 6 months, it should reach a particular period of time that a vacancy should not be, unless really a court order or some other issues. But the normal filling process must have capped timeline, and I take it positively that it will be part of our engagement with Public Service Commission. And then what was the other? Affirmative action. Yeah, I agree. We have already agreed on affirmative. Just on a light note, that Honorable Rosa, she can also leave her husband in bed, or they can go together with the husband. In any case, they signed that for good or for worse, the husband can escort her. She goes and does, and there is no problem. And then I think I have captured generally all the issues that were being raised, except yes, I think all those issues. Thank you very much. Actually, these processes, even though I am defending here from the ministry, largely the process is introduced from the Public Service Commission. So even as I commit, it's an engagement between the ministry and Public Service Commission to make sure that we streamline the processes to be responsive.
So thank you so much, CS. I think
if with your permission, Mr. Chair,
yes.
I know you had given a particular order of responding to these questions, but there is this very related question of, if I could just summarize it from Kuresoi, which is also on the administrative units, unless a question where the member is not around cannot be responded to because I don't see the member. But it goes together, the answer, it follows. If I can do it for the record.
Do for record,
yeah.
Definitely this is a document of the House.
Yeah.
But at least we keep members who probably have got other engagement and their question has been addressed, like Honorable Manduku. He had already expressed that he may want to step out.
Since it's related, it's just 2 minutes.
But now maybe there is a Sigeya, that's a question, and I'm sure he had asked on behalf of many Kenyans. That at times we can have some chiefs who are probably interdicted based on maybe allegation of some fake certificates. Later, maybe the court establish the opposite. And it takes a lot of time or forever to have them reinstated. In fact, to give an example, CS, in my own county of Narok, and I'm sure even Beverly knows, there's one chief who unfortunately died on Friday. He just collapsed, heart attack, died. I wanted to... That chief, and Beverly know, somebody, Grandpa or somebody, he has been actually, I think, coming to the office. This chief was interdicted on allegation of fake certificates. Of course, even another chief was put in his place. They went to court, verification of papers were done, and the opposite was confirmed. I think out of those frustration or something and all that related, on Friday, when actually he was attending the wedding of his daughter, I think he got some heart complication, pressure went up, and he died. we are going to bury him on Friday. We cannot able to say maybe that was the cause, but you never rule out. So Sigei is talking on behalf of many, many, many Kenyans who could be undergoing the same. Actually, Kramba, Bifalini, remember, Bifalini, no, Kramba, he died. Yeah.
So, Chair, I think the case of Ambassador Sigei is Mr. Kitu, right? Yes, and I'm told that his case is still ongoing in the Public Service Commission as a disciplinary issue. Mr. Chair, you know, sometimes, let me be very honest, you know, sometimes we all know that this chief is indisciplined or some way has committed certain, let me use sins so that I don't use legal, some sins in the village. But to provide the evidence in court may be very difficult. And even there may be no witnesses who go to court. But you can tell as a public officer that if this chief continues to be in office, either sexual offenses are not being dealt with in that area, or he is also being suspected of a similar offense, or is a drunkard, you know. But by virtue of court processes, he remains around, and illicit brews and all that are all going in a particular place. So the challenge is that, yes, you can have a court order saying this person is not, is okay, is not guilty, and so forth. Sometimes we may have to think of maybe giving them even some different clerical work elsewhere to just meet the same concerns you raised earlier, that person must meet certain threshold of integrity when serving in a particular locality. So there has to be a room of some level of discretion without so much vindictiveness on how to deploy such people after they succeed even with a court process to shield the community. Because if that person already had a case and some people are witnesses in their community and so forth, you can see that even his performance is going to be hampered. So maybe we need to have that kind of discretion, maybe even monetary compensation or something for the period of their contract, so that you free and get a chief. As I said earlier, in some areas, it might have been nice in some areas to basically, if it was possible, if our election process was fair and influenced with by money and so forth, it would have been even the best for communities to vote for a chief. I'm telling you the truth, because that is a person that must garner the support, the highest number of the people in the location or sub-location.
Exhaust the follow-up question, they're related. So we dispense this question, and you go to the next.
Yeah, the one for Kureso is just straightforward. I'll read it. I don't see Honorable Tonu here, but and I think I also responded to this question on the floor. Somebody did a follow-up. So just no wonder the MP is not here, because I already answered him on the floor. But for the record, currently, wait a minute, this is for number 5, so I meant number 4. Number 4. On number 4, Mr. Chair, Kureso, yes, thank you. Mr. Chair, person to powers conferred under Section 14 of National Government of Nation Act. I think I answered this question, Chair, on the floor. So let me not reread
That's
it.
what I said.
Yeah.
Out of the 13 or 11, 2 already dispensed of.
I answered
you
that.
did respond on the floor.
And then,
question from Honorable Koech and one from the Kuresoi.
I don't know if I answered Chepalungu. I don't remember. The one for Victor, which is also one page. Mr. Chair, let me just read. A member of Parliament of Chepalungu constituency, Victor Koech, requested a statement regarding the operationalization of administrative units in his constituency, particularly status of operationalization of Chebunya and Kwangasis divisions, report on the delay in operationalization of cassetted units and timelines for activation, and measure taken to align administrative boundaries in the affected areas to ensure constituency with political boundaries, particularly in Nyangores ward, to avoid residents being disadvantaged during recruitment. Currently, number 1, Mr. Chair, is that currently Chepalungu Sub-County has 2 existing divisions, that is Sigor and Siongiroi. Divisions, the gazetted administrative units in the said sub-counties are as follows. We have Chepalungu, Chepunyo, division, which is Tilangok locations and Nogirwet sublocation. We have Kongasis division. We have, these are the locations, Tilangok, Kamongil, Koimiret, Kabisoke, Kapole Seroi, and Kabolwa. And then locations are Nogirwet, Kamasiro, Kamotio, Sokoror Bay, Kipkuror, Mukenyi, Kapsaiyalel, Kablele, Kimatisio, Kimananga, Kosia, Chebelion, Ak Labotiet. At the moment, the ministry has not received a budgetary allocation to facilitate operation of all gazetted administrative units across the country. Mr. Chair, report on the delay in operationalization of gazetted units and timelines for activation. The current financial year 2024-2025 budget for the ministry is unable to accommodate operationalization of the gazetted administrative units. However, once National Treasury allocates funds for the operationalization of these units, the ministry will prioritize and implement the operationalization of administrative units, including those of Chepalungu sub-county. Critical measures taken to align administrative boundaries in the area affected to ensure consistency with political boundaries, particularly in Nyangore's ward, to avoid residents being disadvantaged during recruitment. A critical principle for creation of administrative units is bringing service closer to the public. However, should residents decide to align administrative units to existing political boundaries, the same should be subject to public participation, and the ministry will take necessary administrative action. I actually had a one-on-one conversation with the MP on this issue. The disadvantage of part of the administrative units are in Chepalungu constituency and part are in Bomet East, or is it Bomet Central? So, and we have already told him to commence the process of public participation so that we can align it with administrative or political units. Mr. Chair, I think those are the only relevant questions. I think the question of administrative units was really exhaustively discussed on the floor. In terms of timelines, operationalization, division, sub-counties, and so forth. So allow me to close in that topic.
So,
that issue.
CS, as you close that topic, for the purpose of record and Kenyans who are actually following and interested in this, you remember quite well that, of course, why you were called, and it was the first one because it became a very common everyday question in Parliament. And it became very clear the problem has been always about budgetary. And was the committee who actually oversight the ministry, the rough budget to operationalize all gazetted units stand at around 2.4 billion. I think the PS, when he represented you, said so. And I don't know whether you remember or you acted. The speaker did make a ruling that day, or a directive, that now you tabulate all the units that were pending operationalization, attach the budget, so that between the ministry and us as Parliament, we think and work around on mobilizing resources to have these issues sorted and once for all. I think that was put as requested by the Speaker or directed, and it's 3 weeks. We have not received the same. And you know we are making commitment to Kenyans.
Yes. Mr. Chair, the truth is that that information was not submitted during the budget process. But I will replug it and submit to the Speaker's office. But it is within your purview and the budgetary process already. Even when the PS appeared before you, he appeared with the documentation on the same issue. So maybe for just avoidance of doubt, we can resubmit at the end of the day today or tomorrow morning for just avoidance of doubt. But in terms of our budgetary request for 2025-2026, that information is fully supplied for purpose to support the budgetary process.
Just for record, because even the Speaker directed, you can either through direct or through the committee. Let's have that report through the committee, enumerating all the units and the budgetary gaps, so that we within Parliament also, as an appropriating institution, we can see how to help us.
I'll do that latest tomorrow morning.
Okay. Yeah. Lastly, before you leave there, Kenyans, I don't want to. There is some pronouncements you did make on on the issue of promotion of graduate chiefs to either principal chief or ACC. Do you have a policy to support that? And if yes or no, what were you instigating really, and what is the plan toward the same? And secondly, so that you can able to just respond to that, you know, Kenyans are even writing. They're following. I think on the issue of administrative units, when the peers appeared on your behalf before this committee, so that we discuss this question, we listed several units that at least there's some level of plan to include the 24 sub-counties, the 100-something divisions. It is now a month. Where have we reached in the operationalization, the posting of such officers to this unit, so that Kenyans can be able to get the services? Maybe you can respond to the two, then we take you to the next question.
Let me say, for the promotion of the ACCs, yes, of the chiefs to ACCs, yes, Mr. Chair, it's already happening, but in small bits. But what we have agreed is that when we advertise the next lot of ACCs, we will ring fence a certain number for the chiefs. Say if you do 100 ACCs, we agree after consultation that we'll do 30 be given to chiefs who meet the qualification, so that they can feel, Mr. Chair, that they will be encouraged. It will encourage them for as long as they meet the minimum qualifications. The same way all other adverts in other ministries require these positions are reserved for those who are applying internally, and then the rest is externally. So it doesn't need new policy. It is within the framework of public service requirement, but we will now be deliberate to say that this number can go to chiefs, and this number goes to new cadets or new graduates who come from outside the public service sector itself. That, and also in the revision of the policy, we have agreed, based on my public engagement with and the feedback from the chiefs in the Coast region after visiting the 6 counties, we think that it's important now in this review process to have clarity on scheme of service progression. Even for a chief, even if he's not going to be an ACC, they should not stagnate at the place where they were hired perpetually. There has to be a scheme of service that by the time he's retiring at 60, is at a higher level of payment, but also he has been promoted accordingly. So then design which courses must you get at a certain stage and so forth. Again, that is an area, and like the case where it has been that someone is assistant chief from and earning the same amount for 10 years, 15 years, and so forth. The same feedback I got from the ACCs. The ACCs have also stagnated for a long period of time as ACCs, basically because we're all saying, okay, if you promote them, which sub-counties are they going to head and so forth. But there are many places in public service where the ACCs can serve at the rank of DCC. Again, we want to make sure that that is smooth and clear. This is in line with our objective to make sure that there is high morale and there is fairness, there is equity in the public service itself, Mr. Chair. And this was really part of the feedback I got, or we got as a ministry when we went for these public engagements with our officers across the 6 counties that we have visited as at now.
Actually, just so that you respond to that, there is even an anonymous officer who has written, Honorable Mheshimiwa Chair, we are following the proceeding with the CS. Please ask him some question on delay in promotions. Some officers have stayed in one job group for 7 years. That's ACCs. Also, when it comes to training, of course, which guarantees them a career progression, there is a lot of biasness. For example, diploma courses which is organized by the government, officers employed in 2015 have not attended the Kenya government School of Government, yet officers employed in 2021 have been taken.
Mr. Chair, if you saw my, again, for people who followed the public engagement we had in Coast, the ACC Barasa in Kilifi, for example, made a very passionate presentation which Mr. Chair, because he was an ACC in my county when I started politics in 2013, he compared my career progression to his. Mr. Chair said that he saw me campaigning, and now I have moved all the way to being a CS. Almost 14 years later, he's still stagnating in the same position. So it is a very real situation faced by many of these public officers, and we have recently just finished a training for the ACCs, about 800 of them, and you will see their promotions happening in the soon, as we promised them. So the process is working on, and once that is done, we'll revisit for the chiefs and the assistant chiefs. Again, they have the same level of complaints that the ACCs are having. And also, that was the case for the DCCs, which is now being sorted. And it was also the case for the county commissioners, which they have just finished their interviews. I think the last lot is finishing this week, so that then they have been acting as county commissioners for far too long. So again, this is just an area that required some reorganization, and we are doing our best to make sure that it is properly organized and that they are being taken care of, even as they take care of our concerns as citizens of this republic.
Update on the units that we had agreed that we are ready to operationalize?
It's actually when we give the report tomorrow, it should also include the ones that were funded for this financial year, which already we have posted some of the. Where it was easy was to post the DCCs and SCCs. And then now we have to hire for the chiefs and the assistant chiefs. Again, Mr. Chair, now that
agreed the issue of SCCs and DCCs because there is no recruitment,
yes,
and no extra budget per se, apart from AIE.
Yeah.
We fast track them. We're supposed to have almost this.
Mr. Chair, we are doing that, but it's very serious when you send someone to Mukutani, for example, which we have already done, and he has no office where he's going to operate on, or you have sent that person to a place called Koloa, which we have done, but he has no office, he has no vehicle, but because of especially the security areas, there has been concern that let's just have the officer. So you send them, you don't have AIE, you don't have a car, and you don't have an office. That's why we've done it, because it's easy to do it for the ACCs and DCCs, but it doesn't mean that that the problems have gone away. We'll have to revisit the issue of the vehicles and the AIE. Otherwise, you can send somebody and then he sits in the office there and is unable to go to the field. This is my personal request, and a ministry request actually. It's not only personal, that if we work closely with as yourselves as patrons of the NGCDF and the NGCDF board, we should support, in some cases, minimal infrastructure to enable these officers to have a place they can operate from. And some constituents are already doing the same, and it's helping us to make great progress, even as we jointly look for resources for this infrastructure. The mobility issue, we can see what to do, but the conversation is ongoing with Treasury, and as it was promised, by July, August, we should be able to have some vehicles which have been leased, and then we can see, starting from the most needy areas, see how we can support our officers to go to the field. So the list of the ones we have already posted can be shared tomorrow, together with the other request that was made.
But I will kindly request to move to the next set of questions. I know these ones that got a lot of public interest. The other one may be specific. I'll just. So let's just get Masara 1 minute, then we take the next question in the order. So Mandugu, Chair, in case you want to step out.
Chair, on the issue of training, I have a proposal for the ministry. I know of chiefs who were employed almost 6-7 years ago who has never gone for any training. And that one, whatever they are giving to the public, to be honest, is substandard. You can devolve training in such a way that instead of all of them coming to School of Government in Nairobi, you can take them in counties where they are during holidays, where there are teachers training colleges. The instructor can come to those areas and then they can be trained. Actually, I'm very specific. In my area, I've wrote to you when I was in this committee last parliament, that I was ready to capacity, because we have money in the CDF for capacity building, and chiefs and assistant chiefs are part of our PMCs, you are to bring them to my place. I've never gotten a response to the same. Because in my area, I know chiefs who have been trained the way they handle their work, and the untrained one where there is a gap. So you need to roll this thing down, not because of lack of resources, the government may not train them at the right time at the school of government. But the lecturers at school of government, at times they lack what to do. You can have an arrangement with the county so that you can train these chiefs and assistant chiefs at the local level. It will be less expensive but very effective. That's my proposal, Chair.
Two things that we can take from the Honorable Masara. First of all, the schools, the school of government is already, we are in conversation with school of government to decentralize the training. Because if you have about 13,000 chiefs and assistant chiefs, it will be unwise to bring all of them to Nairobi, to APTC for the training. So already the process is ongoing for decentralization. Maybe then, which is the second part of your request, if we know that we have a request from a member of parliament who has some resources and is willing to be deployed for training of chiefs, then we can work on a curriculum where the people training is ourselves. I mean, the standard, whatever, the ministry itself, and then the resources can be channeled in an agreed manner. To say it will go to school of government so that they can buy 1, 2, 3, 4, or they can meet accommodation, and then the training and the training curriculum can be done. That partnership, I don't see anything wrong with it. We're already partnering in building police stations. We are building together administrative units. Training for the chiefs will be very, very much welcome. I think let's just work on the curriculum, how it will look like, and the accountability for the same. Yeah, that's all.
Question straight to the Warriors and the rest. I know this one specific to individual counties as opposed to the chiefs.
Maybe in the Senate. I've answered this question before. Mr. Chair, the Honourable Chairperson, members of the committee, the Member of Parliament for Garsen constituency, Honourable Ali Wario, has requested a statement of the fatal shooting of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso by KWS officer. The Honourable Member particularly sought to be informed on the status of the investigation into the killing of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso, excuse me, and steps taken to apprehend the officers involved. Reasons for the shooting to death of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso by KWS officers, action taken to prevent further confrontation between KWS personnel and local herders to avoid similar tragic incidents, measures to enhance good cooperation and relationship between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders to avoid escalation of such incidents in the future. I wish to state as follows, Mr. Chair, a very long statement. But I also want to confirm that I have engaged the Member of Parliament on this particular issue in his county, in our recent visit to the county, and I appreciate the engagement we had. Mr. Chair, and this, of course, I must answer for the record for Parliament. First, part one, Mr. Chair, the status of the investigations. On 29 December 2024, on approximately 10:30 hours, a contingent of 23 Kenya Wildlife Service Rangers embarked on an operation to remove cattle and others who had allegedly settled inside Savo East National Park. During the operations, the Rangers encountered Isaac Abdullah Jarso, now deceased, his family and friends at his Manyata. When the Rangers attempted to arrest the deceased, an altercation ensued, escalating into physical confrontation between him, his friends, and the Rangers. This confrontation resulted in the fatal shooting of Isaac Abdullah Jarso. At 10:45 hours, the incident was reported to Garsen Police Station by the area sub-chief of Kone sublocation, Mr. Said Omar, via OP number 18/29/12/2024. Officers from the Kone Police Post responded promptly and found the lifeless body of Isaac Abdullah Jarso, a 42-year-old male lying in a pool of blood in his home compound. The body had gunshot wounds on the upper right thigh. Investigations commenced under inquiry number 4 of 2024 of DCI Delta with officers documenting evidence at the scene, recovering 4 spent cartridges at the scene. The body was moved to Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary for preservation, where a post-mortem examination was conducted, confirming that the cause of death was due to gunshot-inflicting injuries. As part of the investigation, statements were recorded from the key witnesses, including the deceased wife, 2 friends who were with him at the time of the incident, and 2 brothers who arrived after being alerted about the shooting. Additionally, statements were taken from KWS Rangers involved in the operation. To facilitate forensic analysis, all the 23 rifles used by the Rangers during the operation were collected and escorted to the forensic laboratory in Nairobi for ballistic examination. The ballistic expert report is yet to be finalized. The inquiry file was forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecution via letter number, DCI SEC LCA /4/4/7 volume 11/92 dated 15 January 2025. In response, the ODPP, through letter referenced here, dated 14 February 2025, directed that several additional matters be established through further investigations, including the fire and ballistic report. The matter is still under active investigation by the DCI, and once concluded, appropriate action will be taken against anyone found culpable of the offense. Every effort is being made to expedite and conclude the investigation to ensure justice is served. Reasons for the shooting to death of Mr. Jarso. Mr. Chair, an attempt by the Rangers to arrest the deceased led to an altercation that escalated into a physical confrontation involving the deceased, his associates, and Rangers. During the scuffle, Isaac Abdullah Jarso was fatally shot. From the overview of the incident, it's clear that one or more of the KW officers may have been involved in the fatal shooting of Isaac Abdullah Jarso. However, investigations are ongoing to identify the specific officer responsible through a ballistic analysis to establish which specific firearms discharged the 4 spent cartridges recovered from the scene. Once the investigations conclude, our appropriate legal action will be taken against the KWS officers found culpable in the fatal shooting. Number 3, action being taken to prevent further confrontation between KWS personnel and herders. Measures being undertaken include enhancing coordination between security agencies, conducting joint sensitization forums with local communities on conservation laws and grazing boundaries, increase patrols in high-risk areas, promoting community policing initiatives to foster dialogue, build trust, and ensure peaceful coexistence between wildlife authorities and pastoralist communities. The last part, number 4, Mr. Chair, is the measures to enhance the good cooperation and relation between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders. The National Police Service has instituted a comprehensive framework aimed at strengthening cooperation and fostering positive relations between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders to prevent the escalation of conflict and ensure sustainable peace. Key interventions include A, strengthening community policing structures. The government is revitalizing community policing initiatives by establishing and supporting Nyumbakumbi clusters, community policing committees, and dialogue forums that encourage continued engagement between officers and the public. Multi-agency collaboration of all the agencies and sister security agencies to working together. Number 3, civic education and public sensitization. I thank you, Mr. Chair.